Welcome back to Sailing El Jaleo. Grab a drink, climb aboard, and let's get going. And welcome to the mess. This is summer update number 2. It is still a disaster in here. I'm still working on projects and I'm way behind. So like I said last week, I'm not gonna do any like official videos. I'm just gonna record these, throw them up. Not doing any editing or music just to save time because I am way behind schedule this year. So, one thing, I actually finally found some gasket material for my port lights. I've been looking for a few years and I found a place in Maryland that actually stocks this, which is nice. Those port lights are no longer made, so finding stuff to repair leaks has been a little bit of a challenge, but we're getting there. And here, the bathroom is not much further along than it was last week. I got the fairing on the wall here sanded down, and this doesn't have to be perfect because it's going to be covered with dairy board anyway. Here's the new base for the toilet. That is in place. I glued it with 5200, and then I have one layer of fiberglass over it so far. I did add some metal supports underneath. And I can actually stand on that, and it is rock solid. So I am going to put another layer of fiberglass on it, and then fiberglass the front here as well. And if you want to see more photos of how I built that, there are some available on Patreon. And you don't have to be a patron member to see those photos. It's all for free. So there's a link down below if you want to go and check that out. Feel free to. And here it's a little messy. You can see where I fiberglassed it to the hull, and this is where the old cabinet was, so you know there are air bubbles there, but this is not structural, it's just to hold it in place. So this is plenty good. I'm not the world's best fiberglasser, but this definitely is not going to go anywhere. And over here where the old base was, you know, it's a couple layers thick with fiberglass, and I still have to trim this corner out. But once I do that, I'm going to fill all this in here with fairing and get it nice and smooth, and then I'm going to paint the whole thing. So I think it'll look all right. I'll probably sand this gap down. You know, this is where the fiberglass was tabbed in before, and you know, it's real sketchy when you try and cut that stuff out. Same with over here. You know, it's a couple layers thick of fiberglass, and down here. And when you try and separate that from the hull, it becomes a little dangerous, so I'd rather just fill it in, and if it's a little uneven, I do not care. It's not worth messing around with potentially cutting a hole in the hull. So there's that. And I've also started working on, I'm painting all of my storage cubby holes with epoxy. That's just to, or an epoxy paint, and that's just to make them easier to clean. You know, with ventilation issues, sometimes I get a little bit of mold inside of those, so that'll just make them, it'll make it easier to see the mold and also easier to clean if some does come back. So that is good. Other than that, oh, and I'm also working on the new sump. I'm doing that project at home. I'm building the sump there, and then I'll just come and plug that in. So I'm working on that as well. Other than that, we're just living in organized chaos. Yeah, things are coming along though. We're making slow progress. You know, anytime you're dealing with fiberglass, it takes forever, you know, when you're dealing with epoxy, because you have to let it dry before you can put another layer on. So I had to epoxy in the bolts, then I had to put the metal supports on underneath, and I had to epoxy that in because it's only zinc covered steel. So I wanted to give that some protection so I didn't have to redo this in 5 years. And then you have to, you know, fiberglass over the top. So it all adds up and takes time. And obviously you'll see some air bubbles here, and these are because of the bolts from the metal supports. And I knew these were going to be here, obviously, and there was going to be little humps here. And this will actually, the toilet base does fit on here, so these two will be hidden, but there will be these little bumps on the side. I'm going to put another layer of fiberglass over here just to make sure, because you know, that these don't get any holes in them. I could drill these out and inject it with epoxy, but it's not going to be supporting any weight at all. So I'm not worried about it, and with 2 layers of fiberglass, it'll be plenty strong if someone does step on it or something, that I won't have to worry about that. And it's all going to be covered. You know, the toilet base is going to sit on here, and then, you know, the toilet bowl will come up on the sides, obviously. So once I get it painted, it really shouldn't be too big of a deal. You know, this is not, none of it's structural, so I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, it's coming along okay. You know, I'm certainly not the world's best finished worker. My stuff is always a little rough if you've been following along for any amount of time. But anyway, that's where we're at. Slow progress, and I'm going to keep plugging at it. So patrons, thank you guys so very much for your support. It means the world to me. And if you're interested in Patreon, there's a lot of free stuff there, extra photos and stuff. So just go ahead and click that link below. And if you want to join, that's even better. So hope you all are well, and we'll see you next week.